Like so many aspects of Jewish life, Tisha B'Av is often marked as a community. We go to synagogue together and we observe many of the rituals and mitzvot of the day together. So I just wanted to spell out the different halachot of Tisha B'Av and how they might be observed this year in the age of COVID-19. I will not be going to synagogue. I'll be staying home. And so it's important to stay safe. But also to observe the day of Tisha B'Av. So let me just speak about some of the halachot of Tisha B'Av and how you might observe them this year at home. So before Tisha B'Av, already starting Chatzot midday of Erev Tisha B'Av, which this year is Wednesday, people stop learning Torah. They stopped doing anything that's would make them happy, and it's really the mourning, the spirit of the loss and feeling the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash begins already at midday. People start preparing, and they prepare the Suda Mafseket, the pre-fast meal. It's also customary to have two meals. So you have the meal that you'll be eating, which is sort of nourishing yourself for 24, 25 hours of fast. So let's say you'll have that at 6:30, 7 o'clock, whenever sunset is at where you are. And that's going to be a meal that's sort of a full meal. You'll have maybe fruits or things that are hydrating and are good for a fast. Then you'll do Birkat Hamazon, you'll bench. And then usually people take a 20-minute break, and then they go for what's called the Suda Mafseket, the pre-fast. And they have bread and hard-boiled egg. And some people have the custom of having even the egg dipped in ashes, and they sit on the floor. At this point, you're already, before you're going to sit down for this meal, you're going to take off your leather shoes and wear the sneakers or Crocs or whatever it is that or just your socks, if you're staying home, that you'll be wearing. And then you sit down on the floor and have this meal. It's customary to eat it in silence. And so you have the hard-boiled egg and the bread, which is a food of mourners. And you do that, and again, some people make sure to burn some paper and on the stovetop or in a safe way, and make sure they dip the hard-boiled egg or the bread in the ashes. Then Tisha B'Av begins. On Tisha B'Av, the things that we don't do are we don't eat, we don't drink, we don't wear leather shoes, very much like Yom Kippur. We do not wash ourselves for pleasure, so you can't take a shower. Even when you wash your hands when you wake up in the morning, you, like Yom Kippur, only wash until your knuckles. No creams that are for pleasure, and marital relations are forbidden. And so those are the things that you do every Tisha B'Av. It's also customary in the evening to sit on the floor or on a pillow or on a very low seat like someone who's sitting Shiva, and read the book of Eicha. So this year, there will not be synagogue Eicha, and so there are a few options. You can read Eicha to yourself. It's in every Tanakh. You don't need a Megillah. You can just read it out of a Chumash. And so you can read Eicha. You can also, according to many opinions, you can't fulfill a mitzvah that involves listening through an electronic device like a phone or through the internet. However, considering that this is not like an obligation as much as a aspect of our mourning, so if you're gonna listen to Eicha virtually, it's better to listen, because there are opinions that you can fulfill a mitzvah virtually or through listening live. And so if you know of a streaming service that's going to have Eicha Live, it's better to listen to Eicha Live. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives and various streaming synagogues or rabbis that will be streaming and reading Eicha. And you are sitting on the floor or on a low place while listening to Eicha. It's also customary in synagogue to dim the light for Eicha and for Tisha B'Av night. So you may want in your living room to dim the lights, maybe have 2 or 3 candles on if it's safe, and just have that sort of ambiance of Tisha B'Av in your home. So sitting on the floor and dim lights at home, and you can read Eicha to yourself. You don't need to know the trup exactly. You don't need to know the exact landing tune. You can read it to yourself. and or you can listen to a live streaming service. Otherwise, you can listen to a recording. There's plenty of recordings available online online. In the morning, so at night it's also customary, the halacha is to change your sleeping arrangement. Some people sleep on the floor, they'll put the mattress on the floor. You're supposed to make it less comfortable. So if you usually sleep with 2 pillows, you sleep with 1 pillow. Some people put the mattress on the floor. Different people have different things. And so just at night, when we go to sleep, we decrease the comfort in which we sleep because of this fast. The next thing is when you wake up in the morning for davening. So there's a sort of regular davening. You don't add anything major in davening. You don't add anything in shul. You would be reading the Torah and a haftorah for Tisha B'Av. If you want to do that at home, just read the Chumash. It's Kitolid Banim Uvnei Banim Venoshantem Ba'aretz. You read that laning, and then the haftorah from Yirmiyah Asofa Sifim. So you can read those. There's no obligation, but you can definitely do so. Men do not put on a talit or tefillin in the morning. That they do that in mincha after chatzot, after midday. So when you daven in the morning, there's really no talit, no tefillin. You just do the davening, and if you want to do the laning, you can do the laning. When sitting, you're sitting on a low chair or on the floor. And we then go on to read Keynote. Keynote are available online. Now, I know there are going to be, especially this year, and there's going to be a huge amount of online Keynote and lectures. I know that there's just a plethora of options, whether it's from YU, the OU, and many other communities are going to broadcast Keynote live. So there will be no shortage of options for Keynote in the morning, and you can do it at your own pace. Some people say all of them, some people say some of them, but then it's customary to say Keynote until midday. At midday, things change. So midday, we start sitting up. A person can sit on a chair midday. After midday, you can put on talit, tefillin. And that's after chatzot. Look up on zmanim.com what your or on Google when your chatzot is, wherever you are. It's also customary not to study Torah on Tisha B'Av except for sad things like the book of Eov, Yirmiyah, the story of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa and the Gemara. A lot of people read Josephus and various things that relate to that time, to the time of the destruction of the temple. In terms of work and business, so it says you're not supposed to do work or business until Chatzot, unless it's Davar Ha'avid, something that's going to cause imminent loss. So unless you have something that's going to cause you loss, it's appropriate to take at least a half day off, and some people even take the entire day off. Until Chatzot, there's usually no working. Once Chatzot comes, you can daven mincha, you can sit on a chair, you can put on talis, tefillin, but usually people daven mincha later in the day. It's really something that's individual call. In the afternoon, there's going to be tons of options from Chavetz Chaim Heritage Foundation and the OU and many other options. Some people watch Holocaust movies that have to do with the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And then later in the afternoon, people start preparing the meal for after the fast. The fast ends at Tzet HaKochavim when 3 stars are out. And that is Tisha B'Av. Another note is that it's customary to you're not supposed to say hello or talk to someone on Tisha B'Av. If someone talks to you, you're supposed to nod. You're not supposed to be very social on Tisha B'Av. But if a person is home, they're lonely, and they want to call someone, they want to connect this year, especially especially people who are staying home, can most definitely do that. It's just not a nice thing to be vivacious on Tisha B'Av. It's supposed to have a more somber attitude. So that is Tisha B'Av. And if you have any questions, comments, please leave them, and I'll be happy to respond as fast as possible. May this day of Tisha B'Av turn into a day of joy and celebration and may we see the coming of Mashiach, the construction of the third temple, Be'ezrat Hashem. And thank you for listening. It should be an easy fast.